Transmission from the Outer Rim. Chaos engulfs the galaxy as war erupts. Like program machines, alien armadas are everywhere, controlling every star lane. Then sensors spot a solitary human warship, a vessel rumored to test the blockade. Fear and wonder mount as this mute colossus tumors closer. The galaxy braces. The galaxy hangs in the balance, star systems locked in a cosmic civil war. Latecomers to the interstellar scene, humanity had gradually been outclassed by ancient alien empires and their centuries-old alliances. Two factions, however, rule supreme. The Strake's Dominion, under the savage warlord Haruval, and the Vir Council, a genteel yet equally deadly coalition of noble houses. These forces have strangled with a suffocating blockade, cutting off essential warp routes and starving Earth and its territories of the materials they so sorely require. Among the stars, fleets of ships tear each other apart in eternal warfare. Merchant convoys disappear or pay crushing tributes to mercenary forces, while the tragic march of frontier worlds succumbs to siege, begging salvation that never arrives. The former shining heart of the galactic core is now an uneasy war zone. Many have written off humanity under such duress, deriding their smaller fleets as irrelevant. But hope still lies within the Terran ranks, manifested through whispers of a top-secret warship project that transcends current limitations. At secret shipyards, human engineers have field-tested propulsion systems leagues ahead of where any larger militaries would believe humanity to be. Experimental shunt and recompression shielding and other wondrous and terrible works. The project, said to be code-named Dawnbreaker, is a mystery even to some in Terran High Command. Its existence is officially denied, but those with the right connections whisper about a vessel that can roam through blockaded areas without detection. No one can say exactly how such technology would work, but just the idea of it galvanizes the besieged colonies of Earth anew. To the Strake's Dominion and the Vir Council, this blockade is their strategy's linchpin. Who controls the hyperlanes, controls everything. Terran colonies are starving, too, as resources grow increasingly scarce and morale sinks steadily lower. Strake's commanders gloat with every broadcast, promising that when the humans finally submit, they'll parcel out traditional worlds to new overlords. The Vir aristocrats clink glasses in anticipation of their foregone victory, viewing humanity's demise as merely a convenient stepping stone on their path to unquestionable dominion. In the darkness, one woman shines through, Admiral Elena Pierce. A master of unconventional tactics, Pierce is now leading the secret efforts to breach the blockade. She has trained years for this moment, learning ancient alien defense patterns, making friends with sympathetic outliers, and mentoring a small but fiercely loyal band of Terran officers. Its mission is to unleash the rumored warship on the stronghold of the blockade, an audacious move that many view as reckless or even suicidal. Still, the stakes are stark. If the blockade does not end, there will be a slow, inevitable death for humanity, trapped behind a wall of impermeable enmity. But if even one warship gets through, the enemy's entire strategy may unravel. Frontier worlds might rise up against the Dominion, and subjugated star systems might shake free of Vir control. The wider galaxy would finally know that humans are no mere spectators, but a power that can confront the strongest fleets in creation. Not that the aliens are just sitting around. Our sensor arrays have eyes on all approaches, searching for the faintest hint of a signal. Patrol ships sweep the perimeter, looking for signs of infiltration. They know that humanity is desperate and that a trapped enemy can be erratic. And yet, arrogance is their downfall. Sure of their combined might, they chuckle at the notion that a single Terran ship could shatter their carefully assembled hedgerow. Far away, huddled deep within a remote orbital facility, masked behind the volatile churning of cosmic debris, the loyal crew of Admiral Pierce prepares their systems. Tenfolds beyond the power output of a normal warship, engineers complete a revolutionary fusion core. Trained tactical specialists tune sophisticated stealth modules and recently developed torpedo bays. Each is carried out under the tightest of wraps. Only a select few Terran leaders see what they have built for them. Throughout human space, families cling to hope. In half-lit shelters and desolate colonies, they whisper of the rumored warship, hoping that it will shatter the clinks binding them to isolation. They have seen grand pronouncements from extraterrestrial overlords praising the brink of human extinction, but it is all mere propaganda to inflame their determination. If this one ship makes it, it will be a symbol of defiance, a badge that no matter how outnumbered and outgunned, humanity won't be caged. And with final preparations underway, all eyes turn to the blockade that no one else has been able to crack. The alien warlord celebrates too soon, while Terran blood runs hot. One carefully timed engagement would change the pace of this galactic war, though, making humanity go from a minor footnote in alien history to a force to be reckoned with. In that dangerous moment, the truth comes into focus. Soon, the galaxy may bear witness to a defining chapter in the fight for survival and self-determination. And thus the stage is set for an audacious bet that will age the stars. The hour of the audacious strike comes. Dawnbreaker, the best-kept secret of the Terran Defense Fleet, burst from its hiding place in Covert Dock. Its hull glints in the dim starlight, coated with an experimental stealth covering designed to foil even the most sophisticated sensors. On the command bridge, Admiral Elena Pierce conducts the final checks, her eyes flicking over the readouts that may soon determine the fate of humanity. If their gambit doesn't play out, then Earth and its colonies may be forever doomed. Their opening move leads them right into a Dominion sentry network, dozens of autonomous drone patrols surveying an entire sector. The sensor suite of each drone is sensitized to fluctuations in gravitational flux, energy signatures, even quantum vibrations. Under regular conditions, even the slightest disruption would set off alarms. Still, Dawnbreaker's stealth suite is top of the line, capable of wrapping the signals around the hull and disguising its ion trail. At outpost stations, bemused watch officers see only occasional blips that they assume are glitches. Years of unchallenged blockade enforcement led to a feeling of complacency. After skirting the Dominion's outer net, Dawnbreaker heads straight into the blockade's main bulwark. Intelligence reports depict Strake's battleships in layered wedges with each formation dotted by VR cruisers on the prowl, scanning their star lanes. Squadrons of smaller frigates and corvettes wait to harass any invader. The blockade is supposed to be watertight, a cordon that has foiled every previous incursion. That is, until now. A lone Dominion scout frigate briefly registers an unexpected signature. Alarms blare, and their comms fill with questions. Before the frigate is able to send a full report, Admiral Pierce gives the order to strike. Dawnbreaker lowers its stealth to give full power to its weapons, exposing itself in a burst of rail cannon fire. Slugs of tungsten, fired at incredibly high velocities, penetrate the hull of the frigate. Within seconds, the ship is disabled adrift. Where shock radiates through Dominion ships and nearby VR, Dawnbreaker seizes the confusion. Torpedo salvos streak through the void, spreading fear in the alien lines. The rail cannons bellow once more, trying to disable critical systems aboard the nearest battleship. Disdainful alien commanders, who viewed Terran technology as a rambunctious but ultimately feeble upstart, scramble to realign their defenses. Frantic orders fill Strake's comm channels. Haruval the warlord, planning from a fortress hewn into a moon, cannot fathom why a single Terran ship is slicing through his blockade. He yells at underlings, ordering them to reach the unseen menace. VR admirals, meanwhile, bristle at what they see as Dominion ineptitude. They shuffle their own cruisers to flank Dawnbreaker, trying to trap it in a deadly crossfire. Pierce's answer is part strategy, part boldness, and this is where the fun begins. She sends a squadron of stealth fighters, small, nimble craft stocked with mini torpedoes capable of caving in mid-sized vessels in one blow. The fighters zip in and out of the scattered blockade ships, eliminating key nodes and disappearing behind engine flares. Some alien captains get confused between friend and foe, firing wildly at the desperate-to-invisibilitous Terran forces. Even with early victories, Dawnbreaker can't count on surprise. The blockade is large and well-stocked. Concentrated plasma beams slam against the human warship's shields, causing it to shimmer and flare with every impact. Pierce's helmsman navigates with surgical precision, threading the needle of withering fire. But every near miss erodes the hull's integrity. Damage alarms clamor throughout the bridge, for compartments vent atmosphere to space, and medics rush to save injured crew. Nonetheless, Pierce presses on, the heart of the blockade in his sights, the main command nexus. Intelligence has determined that this station is the linchpin of the entire network, managing Shrakes and Veer fleets, routing strategic information, and transferring reinforcements. If it falls, the blockade's unity could split, allowing Terran relief convoys to pour inside. But defending the Nexus is a numer of capital ships, each bristling with heavy guns. In one audacious gambit, Pierce calls for a full-on assault. Dawnbreaker's rail cannons hammer on the station's shielding, and torpedo salvos crash on support ships to bleed the defensive ring. Admirals of the aliens order mass retaliation. Dawnbreaker is overwhelmed by ion lances, plasma bolts, and electromagnetic pulses. The warship's shields flash as if failing. Arcs of electricity sizzle along its hull. Smoke fills hallways where internal systems have overheated. In the midst of the pandemonium, Pierce shows what makes her renowned for unorthodox genius. She pretends she's withdrawing, throttling back the main engines. With each side looking to deliver a death blow, Shrakes and Veer captains charge ahead. Dawnbreaker slices sharply left, pivoting around next-gen vector thrusters. The aliens' formation breaks in the mad rush, but they overshoot. By the time they turn to attack our flanks, it's too late. Wings of Terran fighters run in, delivering sharp bursts of laser fire that chew through exposed hull plating. Titans reach, Dominion and Veer forces comes into contact. Fingers of willful sabotage are pointed over comm channels. In their eagerness to score glory, they don't coordinate properly. Pierce wastes no time, commanding Dawnbreaker to strafe the station at close range. The rail cannons pulverize vital sensor arrays with their rounds. Veer gunnery officers work to lock onto the swift threat, Dominion cruisers turning to regroup. But the station is still formidable. Punishing blasts from defensive turrets pepper Dawnbreaker. In the ship's engine room, engineers fight to keep reactors stable amid the assault. Medical teams provide treatment for injuries while lights flicker. As casualties mount, the mood on the bridge turns dark until a reading flashes on the main display. The shields protecting the station are weakening, ready to fail. Pierce knows that time is ticking. Support units from across the sector are on their way. Unless Dawnbreaker lands a killing blow, they'll be overrun. She orders the warship's last volley of torpedoes. Each carries an unstable fusion charge that is streaking to the heart of the Nexus. The station's outer armor buckles, and a violent chain reaction rips through its core. A shockwave expands, and debris rains onto the sector. The blockade shudders with the aftershocks, comms lines stutter, and the perfectly synchronized alien fleets begin to break apart. Dominion frigates discover their channels jammed. Veer cruisers race to make sense of conflicting sensor readings. Chaos reigns in a sector that once symbolized their ironclad control. Dawnbreaker is still standing, though battered. Its cloak is non-functional. Hull breaches mar multiple decks, and half the battery arrays have gone to sleep. But the path is opening. On a conference call with Terran convoys just outside sensor range, Pierce receives an all-clear. Now, they charge in, with medicine, food, and fresh troops for the beleaguered colonies. The power of the blockade is not completely undone. Scores of alien ships are still sailing, but its central coordination is shattered. From his fortress, Warlord Haruval smashes a gauntlet fist into a console, cursing the Dominion for its failure. Veer admirals hurl accusations at their Dominion counterparts. The wall of arrogance that surrounded the blockade is cracked. And so, they left the idea that man is inconsequential in tatters after a single warship buoyed by guile, engineering acumen, and steadfast determination. At the wheel, Pierce exhales, her forehead gasket with sweat. The crew is weary around her, but a glimmer of triumph animates every face. They have dealt a punishing blow to two of the galaxy's most fearsome powers. And while sporadic battles still rage in the periphery, the blockade's halo of invincibility has faded. The stage is ready for the next act of humanity's rise, or the galaxy's last showdown. For now, a corridor remains open. Aged ships surge into freed territory at the sight of Terran vessels. Haggard populations across battered human colonies cheer. Hope awakens where despair once took its rest. During one such fateful mission, Dawnbreaker have shown that no step can ever extinguish the spark of rebellion, and that even the strongest blockade can be crumbled if harbored by those who are willing to redeem their destiny. Consequently, following the severed nexus, a tremor of cataclysmic relocations erupts into the command streams of outer civilizations. This now fractured blockade begins to unravel, with fleets of Dominion and VR scattered and lost without new orders. Capital ships wander aimlessly, while smaller craft try to regroup to no avail. On board Dawnbreaker, Admiral Elena Pierce and her crew strive to keep their victory from slipping from their grasp. Their warship is mangled, damage assessments pile up, but the mission is not over. The immediate priority for Pierce is to secure the breach. Terran support convoys have already started traversing the corridor. Their cargo holds are crammed with supplies desperately needed by beleaguered human colonies: medicine, food, industrial equipment, and fresh legions of troops. If enemy forces close the gap and rally now, those relief ships would be left adrift or destroyed. Beamish comms crackled with Pierce's message, coordinates relayed to every Terran vessel with ears to listen, urging them all to push on in tight formation. The temporary easing of the blockade is not a complete victory, though, and the Strake's Dominion, while greatly weakened, can still bring forth a sizable number of warships to tip the balance. Warlord Haruval is wounded in pride, and his wrath echoes across Dominion fleets, sending them into a frenzy to fight back. From high above his lunar fortress, he hands out new commands to salvage what he can of the blockade. Meanwhile, the VR aristocrats convene emergency councils, each house trying to outmaneuver the others. Others view it as a chance to back out of the Dominion Pact and strike individual deals with the humans. Others hold on to their old coalitions, yearning to wipe their shame by eliminating Dawnbreaker once and for all. And amid this maelstrom, skirmishes explode on every front. Dominion cruisers relentlessly hound Terran transports, only to be ambushed by Dawnbreaker's fighter squadrons. VR interceptor wings launch attacks intending to kill supply ships, targeting their engines with precision strikes. Human escorts, supported by hastily added destroyers from nearby outposts, join the fray. Each confrontation builds on the one before, creating a larger tapestry of battle that spans the star system. The urgency is tangible inside Dawnbreaker. Other parts of the ship are in ruins. Engineers scurry through smoky passageways to seal hull breaches and repair vital modules. The stealth field is still down, and the rail cannons have started to show the wear of repeated broadsides. Morale fluctuates between hard-won confidence and acute dread. Victory feels within reach, but one disastrous strike could undo everything. Still, Admiral Pierce will not back down. Having crippled the Nexus, she wants to seize the advantage. Gathering her department heads, tactical, intelligence, engineering, in the war room, she says, a fluttering holomap shows the entire sector, speckled with icons designating friend and foe. Pierce's plan is radical and simple. Take more key spots along the blockade ring, keeping the way open long enough for Terran fleets to take root. The first step was destroying the Nexus. The second is holding their ground against counterattacks. In order to do so, Pierce sends her stealth fighter squadrons to raid alien communications relays and sensor stations. Their disablement stymies coordination between the Dominion and VR. The beleaguered Dawnbreaker, herself, forges deeper into blockade diameters, prosecuting a series of supply depots that fuel alien fleets. By severing these lifelines, Pierce aims to splinter the aliens' capacity for a coordinated counterattack. The results are instant and striking. Several Dominion haversacks, short of munitions and out of fuel, are forced to retreat to peripheral bases. The VR Council tries to concentrate a defense around a group of star fortresses, but interleague squabbling delays their action. Their formations remain haphazard without a centralized nexus. Dawnbreaker is a strike craft, making slow, deliberate passes and leaving a slew of wrecked outposts and bungled alien ships behind. Nonetheless, the price of these offensives hangs heavy on the Terran side. Dawnbreaker's once state-of-the-art systems risk collapsing under relentless pressure. Shield generators stutter, and the command deck lights blink on and off as power gets rerouted to heat weapons to fire-ready status. The stories of smaller Terran frigates and corvettes are sobering too. Some are destroyed, swamped by numerically superior alien warships. But the corridor is still open, and in that corridor convoys continue to pour in and out, bringing hope to starved human colonies. Flavorful forces amid the sector are scrambling for new accredit with one another or to patch aged relationships. An admiral from Dominion, angered by Veer indecision, forcibly commandeers part of the Veer fleet. Veer loyalists split off and negotiate a ceasefire with Terran ships, but are swept aside by the relentless forward surge of humanity's troop reinforcements. The previously thought impermeable blockade fractures into jumbled pockets of isolation, each more vulnerable than the last. Word travels via the grapevine. Some alien faces, oppressed once by Dominion or Veer rule, retaliate now that the blockade has started to crumble. Pirate clans that once raided Terran vessels saw their opportunity for treasure, but quickly found himself facing well-armed human consorts. The whole area teeters on the brink of what could turn into a long, drawn-out multi-faction war on one hand, or an age of negotiation forced by Terran show of strength on the other. Through it all, Dawnbreaker stands at the heart of everything, its name in every alien commander's mouth. The shattered and burnt craft roam the star lanes, annihilating bastions and stoking whispers of invincible Terran might. In one last effort to bring about the blockade's end, Pierce sets his sights on the largest Veer fortress in the region, a high-tech installation replete with advanced beam weaponry. Once believed to be invulnerable, the fortification now serves as an essential connection that could renew the blockade if left undestroyed. In concert with fresh reinforcements from the Terran, Pierce executes a multi-pronged attack. As Dawnbreaker fires devastating torpedo salvos, Terran frigates swarm the fortification's perimeter. The cruisers bombard shield generators, compelling the garrison to drain offensive systems of power. The fortress retaliates with punishing force. Beam arrays scour through Terran formations, leaving only smoldering hulls in their wake. But gradually, inevitably, the fortress's defenses give way. A titanic rolling wave of combined Terran firepower collapses the last drapes of protective layers and turns the fortress into a burning wreck. Eradication of this linchpin guarantees Terran victory. The blockade has been irrevocably breached. The star lanes are open. Alien chatter, which once oozed confidence, now rings with stunned disbelief or terrified fear. The indomitable slab of flesh and bone has shown that no fortress is impregnable. In the wake of all these accumulating victories, Dawnbreaker staggers to the rendezvous point. Medical frigates converge to evacuate the injured and crone-filled, and engineering ships endeavor to repair the damaged hull. Celebrations erupt across Terran communication networks. Colonists watch supply ships touch down on their worlds, bringing relief that only days ago had seemed impossible. Commanders at Earth's central headquarters trade giddy messages, knowing that a defining moment for human history just happened. News travels past the front line. This is causing observers from neutral worlds, including some who had long counted humanity out, to reassess their allegiances. Independent traders seek to profit from ties with this rising power. Rebel cells, tamped down under Shrakes or Veer rule, feel an opening for rising up. And the galaxy at large looks on, incredulous, as the underdog species manages not just a defensive, but a decisive victory that upends the entire established order. But although the blockade's spine is shattered, the wider war smolders on. The Dominion and Veer remain powerful enemies, having conquered extensive territories and innumerable warships. Their resource advantage, like their numbers, is staggering, and many in their ranks are aflame for revenge. For now, however, the doors cracked open and humanity has a foothold in the galactic conversation. One warship, with its unwavering determination and guile, has done the impossible. From every corner of the sector, Terran ships cluster under the tattered but still viable paternal banner of Dawnbreaker. The corridors of power quake with the understanding that human creativity and practiced desperation have overturned centuries of alien hegemony. And though the final form of the war is unclear, one fact stands out. The blockade that once choked human hope has crumbled, and high amongst the debris stands humanity as an unstoppable force. The galaxy will never be the same. A tense silence holds sway over a sector where the previously impassable blockade sits in broken disarray. Word of Dawnbreaker's audacious sweep travels down every star lane, igniting embers of hope within the long oppressed by the Dominion and VR. For them, this single human warship stands as proof that even colossal powers can be challenged and unmade by sheer resolve. Inside the halls of Dawnbreaker, Admiral Elena Pierce assesses the damage. Shell breaches, flickering consoles, and exhausted medics all speak to the desperation underpinning their success. For now, however, supply routes are open. Terran convoys pour unchecked to starving colonies, removing a weight that once strangled full star systems. Meanwhile, alien empires tremble in shockwaves. Warlord Haruval searches his broken ranks for scapegoats, furious that the impenetrable blockade he bragged about has been broken by a single Terran ship. The VR Council, also reeling, weighs responses from vengeance to uneasy alliances. Others, waiting in the wings, suddenly spot chances to escape ancient oppressions. Yet victory has its price. Dawnbreaker staggers on, systems stretched beyond design, buoyed by their success, but fully aware that the Dominion and the VR are still a great threat. The crew. Pierce sends a clear message to Terran High Command. Retribution is a given, and the political landscape of the galaxy is already changing in unpredictable ways. For the time being, though, a sense of relief surges through human colonies that have been cut off by the blockade. Families joyfully receive long-delayed supplies. Settlement leaders begin to imagine a future not controlled by alien overlords. And recruiters discover throngs of eager volunteers, each inspired by the story of a warship that soared beyond every grim expectation. And thus is written the legend of Dawnbreaker, immortalized in the histories of wideband galactic warfare. A reminder that, when faced with existential peril, humanity proved capable not only of survival, but of coming out stronger. Although there is a long way to go before the end of the war, the fall of the blockade will be a milestone that does not move, the spark of the leaf that lights a flame that will change the universe. As Pierce considers the road ahead, she steels herself for what must come next. The Terran cause is stronger, but enemies gather. Yet the wreckage of the blockade is adrift as a tacit monument to an unthinkable frontier broken. No longer can the galaxy dismiss the spirit and ingenuity that powered this triumph. No empire can be sure that humans will be cowed by intimidation again. Whatever awaits in the future, the end of the blockade is a turning point. Boundaries that once seemed immutable are suddenly in doubt, and humanity walks onto a stage it viewed only from the shadows. And then one battered warship changed everything, and the cosmos will never be the same.